Moving to another country is really hard. Making friends in that new country is even harder. This video offers practical tips and advice for how to connect with people, make friends, and how to be your own best friend in perhaps one of the most lonely and yet exhilarating seasons in your entire life.
Hi, my name is Kaylee, and I am an American who moved out of my home country and into another country about 3 years ago. I just want to say, yeah, I have a detached mirror behind me. It's even more chaos than you realize because my Dyson is over there on the floor. By the way, there's clothing under this robe. You ain't gonna see nothing you ain't supposed to see. There are a couple of different circumstances within which you move overseas. Sometimes it's for work, sometimes it's for school, sometimes you're literally just uprooting your life and going somewhere brand new with nobody there and no roots. Other times it's for a relationship, which is what I did. Anytime you move overseas, it's going to be difficult and there's going to be periods of isolation and it's going to feel so overwhelming and challenging. But you're going to meet people who are living a similar experience to what you're living. So you're not gonna be as alone as you think. If you're like me, and you moved over here with knowing only one other person, I only knew, hang on, I can't get this open. This is the horrible thing about this packaging. How do we make friends when we are foreign times foreign? We are not even just in a new city, new town, new state. We are in a new country. I don't think you can anticipate how much every single interaction is going to cost you so much out of your social battery. To be juggling all of the culture, the language, the sensory stimulation of the city. I come from a really small town in the Midwest, so moving into a multi-million population city and all of it being a different culture, different language, different food, different sounds, different smells, all of that intensity made it hard for me to go outside. So I got really locked into a period of isolating.
As someone who genuinely enjoys solitude, it is really mind-blowing how much isolation hits different. In the past, I was in solitude because it was such a choice. But now, sometimes, like, if I want to call somebody that I love, a family member, a friend, I have to wait like 8-9 hours into my day because we're in completely different time zones. My first year was really hard because, did you hear how northern that sounded? Hard. People are staring at me. This is a new thing that I'm doing, getting scared, filming in public. In your first couple of weeks, months overseas, just go find a local park, grab a snack, grab a notebook, grab a book, and go to a public place where there are people. If you go to that public place, you'll be around people and you'll be surprised that being within the vicinity of people is actually super helpful. And I've had many natural interactions with people because I'm just here and I'm just paying attention. And sometimes those interactions are completely languageless. Being part of the community, even if it's nonverbal, does satisfy some part of that socializing. Also, I'm wearing sweatpants out. That's crazy. Because of the fear and anxiety of rejection from the community, you stop trying to be part of the community. But that's going to backfire really fast. Having an ability to really laugh at yourself through the process and having an ability to be okay with making mistakes and sounding silly, this is going to expedite your experience of, what is it called when you're assimilation. It's going to expedite your assimilating experience when you are okay with the reality that you're a foreigner. You're foreign. Nobody knows you. And you don't know the language. You don't know the culture. You're gonna make mistakes. And just being okay, oh my gosh, I'm getting so expressive. Just being okay with making these mistakes is what changes the entire game. Something that I did that was very unique is that I turned to social media to connect with people. Ah, my husband's calling, I gotta go.
Social media is an extremely powerful tool for accessing people. There are expat pages online, and they are on Facebook. Now, if that's not really your thing to like reach out to people, I totally get it, I understand. But you can join these groups and keep an eye out for events and things going on because you're not the only one here who's lonely. This is a really great way to find people. You can even post in this group page and just say, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm moving to Ankara at this time, or whatever city you're moving to. Are there any tips that anyone can give me? Are there any resources? Are there any expat guides? Because sometimes people have created resources for the expat community as a long-term expat in that city. What I have learned is people who are foreign in a country or city, they really come together for each other and they want to offer help because they can really empathize with where you are and all of the emotional roller coasters that you're going through. Additionally, I am looking for a product. I started posting like going to the grocery store in Turkey and just showing different things in Turkey, and this actually caused people to start reaching out to me, and I received a lot of messages from people who were saying like, hey, it looks like you're actually in my neighborhood. I would love to show you around. Can we meet? I did not meet with everybody who did that, but one of the first people who did that has ended up becoming one of my dearest friends here. By me being willing to be vulnerable about being new here and to show my life, I was able to connect with people who I would not have otherwise connected with, and they reached out to me. This was game-changing for me. Just some advice that I would give if you're going to do that. I encourage you to interact with social media as a foreigner, like a foreigner who is experiencing the new culture, not as someone who is only showing glamour. There are a lot of people who move to, this is my observation, okay? These are just my opinions, my thoughts. There are a lot of people who move to a foreign country and they want to create a social media, they want to create a vlog about it, and all they do is show the glamorous, expensive things that they get to do. That's not going to connect you with people on the same authentic level, in my observation, as showing your just genuine experience with enjoying, discovering someone's culture, country, city, local grocery stores, bazaars, whatever you're doing. If you're gonna go that route and you're gonna try to like do the whole create a vlog thing, I encourage you to do it from the perspective of an everyday Joe. I heard somebody say one time that people online really like to watch Clark Kent more than they like to watch Superman. They want to see the normal, average, everyday flow of what's going on instead of having all of the glamour showcased to them. So when you're an influencer and all you're doing is showing the glamour, the expensive things, the awesome foods and restaurants and boat tours you get to take, this is not an everyday thing. So are you trying to connect with people who are passing through who want to do these tours too? Or are you trying to connect with the person who probably lives 2 blocks down the street? I got this at Walmart for 20 bucks and I brought it here with me. The best way that you're going to make friends and have good relationships with people around you long term in a place where you're brand new is to have a really good friendship with yourself. By knowing how to spend time alone, by knowing how to seek joyful experiences and discover new things alone, being able to sit with your own thoughts and being able to treat yourself like a good friend, you kind of create this like atmosphere about you of friendliness. I think that friendliness comes from people who know how to be friends to themselves, not just people who are nice. When we know how to spend that time with ourselves and be friends with ourselves, we seek out being a good friend to other people. And I think that's something that we get challenged on when we're trying to find friends in foreign places, is that we realize that we have to be a good friend to them before we can expect them to be a good friend to us. This is a part of the video that I had a hard time figuring out how to dive into, because while this loneliness can sound heavy at the beginning and it can sound difficult and it can sound like something you really don't want to face, it is also such a bizarre opportunity, because where you can be so socially healthy, wanting to connect, wanting to explore, wanting to experience, and yet you've got nobody. This loneliness, this is a really intense loneliness that can happen. And it is such a gift. And I know that sounds weird, so just give me a second to explain. That was like acting like it was so intense. Okay. It is, okay, so loneliness, hang on. Loneliness is the lack of company, but in the lack of company, there's also a lack of distractions. There's a lack of judgment. There's a lack of monitoring other people's emotions. There is a lack of needing to shape your life around the schedules of other people. There is a lack of stimulation. There is a stillness, a peace, and a space for discovering more of who you are. This alone time is almost such a special time in your life that, you know, once that person comes in and once those friends come in and those projects come in and everything starts to bloom and unfold in your new life, in your new community, that alone time will get shorter and shorter and shorter, and you might come to a point where you miss it. It is not a common experience to be able to be someone who is completely uprooted from their past and placed in an entirely new present day. When you are placed in another country, when you are somewhere else, suddenly every single thing, every single person who's ever witnessed who you once were is no longer speaking that person into your life. You're no longer looking at a portrait of yesterday you are a blank canvas. The way that you react to a really stressful moment in a foreign country gives you a lot of insight to how reactive you are to stress in general, and it gives you a whole new platform for being able to observe yourself and change how you react. That's really what it's done for me. The way that, you know, traffic overwhelms me and crazy chaotic city centers overwhelm me and different culture shocks overwhelm me, all of those things have given me a whole different level of insight to how I handle being uncomfortable and overwhelmed. And with that insight, I'm empowered to decide that I want to make another choice the next time that intensity comes around. We don't get that in our hometowns. We barely get that when we go to college, and we barely get that when we live alone. I have done these things. I have been in cities away from family, apartments all on my own, and none of it compares to getting on a plane with a one-way ticket. The process of getting casually chilled out on the couch, even though it's performative, it's weird. In the times that I have been abroad, I have had to face really intense vulnerability with myself in the mistakes that I make. Being my own friend meant loving myself unconditionally, even in these mistakes, and then taking my hand and guiding myself toward what is better. When you are alone, overseas, abroad, I know this is what we keep talking about, but that's the major theme of this video, you're just really forced to see yourself in entirely new lights, and sometimes what you see, you don't like. But even the parts of you that you don't like, I have found that it's important to learn how to love them in the way that is radical, a radical love, a radical self-acceptance, because this is where change comes from. When we radically love ourselves and we become a really good, die-hard friend for ourselves, the ride or die kind of friend for our own self, this is where we can come into these places of genuinely desiring to make different choices and genuinely desiring to improve or evolve or transform or heal. That's getting too spiritual and philosophical. But you get what I mean. I hope, I pray, I do ask that you do. That looks so much darker than it is. Let me back off of this lighting and show you. Maybe I look I think I'm gonna wear black tonight and I think it looks fine. I actually think it looks fine. I just have never gotten ready on camera like this, and this is a whole new thing for me. Let me tell you that when you move to a new country and you're trying to interact with someone and they give you one of these, a look, it can absolutely tear you apart. You might go home and cry. I have so many times.
I think easily one of the hardest things I've ever done is come to one of my favorite coffee shops, set up my tripod, and film. Part of the reason that I'm doing this is to kind of try to illustrate this is how you feel, the way that I feel right now, tense, tight, nervous. This is how you feel all the time when you're interacting for the first time, for the first several months in a new country. When you're interacting with people outside, assume that they're curious, not judgmental. Assume that they are intrigued by what you're saying, and don't read into their facial expressions as much as you would read into facial expressions in your own social culture, because people express their disbelief or their curiosity or they're interacting with something new differently. And it is better to assume that people are curious and that they're interacting with a foreigner maybe for the first time. Here's my hot chocolate. Oh my gosh, little Santa cup. That's so cute. I'm so scrunched in because I'm nervous. There are things about moving overseas that I think nobody can prepare you for. There are some really intense negatives to it, things that are really hard to overcome. And I think it's very easy for people to just say, like, suck it up. You're getting an opportunity to move overseas, like, you're living something so cool, you have no right to complain. Some of the hardest things that I faced when I came over here was how my health was impacted. I got super sick. My hormones were really messed up. I ended up losing so much hair that my natural curl pattern got destroyed and I had to just chop my hair. That was so hard. I got horrible acne, I gained weight, I had a really, really hard physical experience with moving overseas at the same time that I was elated and excited by the adventure.
Part of leaving everything that you know and choosing everything that you don't know is that there is truly time required for the process. It is like starting a garden from the beginning. It literally felt like as I left my home and I came here that I was uprooting myself, and then it took time for my roots to get into the new soil. It is like that. This takes time and it's difficult, so don't make it more difficult by not being your own friend and then by not looking into these resources that are available. And then also creating your own movements. I have created my own movement. I have a following on social media now that I interact with all the time, and I also have an offline in-person networking group that I host and I manage, and this has been something that has changed the game for me socially. It can get to a point, if you want to, that you can create your own group, your own movement, but you know, that took me 3 years. This is actually the first video ever that I'm filming for my YouTube channel of Kaylee in Turkey. It feels weird to say the title of my channel like that, like, hi, I'm Kaylee. I am so excited to share with you everything I've learned about being a foreigner in another country, and also just the mindset to have so that you can thrive in this crazy journey of completely uprooting yourself and putting yourself in a brand new pot. Please drop a comment down below to help boost the algorithm of this video. If you are someone who has been interacting with me for a while, you know, help me get that. And if you're someone who's new to me and you're finding me for the first time, I'm so excited to meet you. I know we're not meeting, but I really genuinely see the people who interact with me online and follow me as like literal people and not numbers, and I am just blessed by this community that's been growing on TikTok and Instagram and now has the opportunity to grow here on YouTube. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I just cannot wait to see where it's gonna take us both. I'm probably gonna show you my fit check before I leave, so stick around, and mwah, that was weird. All right.
Okay, what a ridiculous frame.
I tried to figure out, like, that's kind of better. I'm gonna wear these boots. Let me show you. Yes, I know you see my things. I need to organize these things, and if I don't leave them where I can see them, I will forget about them, and then I will lose the things that are inside of them that I need to organize. I'm bringing you into my home, and it's stressful for me. Just like I talked about earlier, perceiving people's opinions about us is what stops us from doing the things we want to do. My viewfinder is down here. When we don't do the things we want to do because of the perceived opinions of other people, we are literally giving power to nothing. We're giving power to our fear and our thoughts. These are the only bags that I have as an option. I just don't see myself wearing a coat over this. This is a little teeny tiny red thing. I think this is my husband's. Yeah, what is this? Ah! What is that? So I'm probably just not gonna wear one. I'm just gonna kind of suffer it. So at this point, you're actually at the end of the video. This lighting is so intense. You can see now that my makeup's not so heavy. I didn't change it at all. It's this lipstick. Got this for 80 lira, nice. I'm gonna go with this bag. This just kind of blends and it lets the jacket have the moment. Oh my gosh, I've never talked about fashion so much like this. I mean, I do in my head. Okay, I'm going out with friends tonight. I'm super excited,
And that is happening because of all the things I've shared in this video. Something that I think is incredible about how the internet has exploded in the last couple of decades and social media is that we have so much more of a global mindset and a global culture that people from lots of different places can actually vibe together really well. So don't assume that there's nobody here for you. You are such a unique, shining, beautiful, individual human being, but you are neurobiologically designed to vibe with other human beings. So you are created for community, you're created for collaboration, you are created for friendship. We've got to, especially coming into a new place, be friendly. We have to be friendly foreigners, not aloof and judgmental and defensive foreigners, because that's just not gonna help. And I've been in those places, so I'm speaking from experience and lessons learned, and I hope that it is beneficial to you and helpful. And thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Kaylee, and I will see you for what's next. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below of which one of these tips are gonna be really helpful to you, or tell us about your journey of being someone who's looking for friends. When we find those connections online connections can actually turn into offline connections. So be brave, share a word of love and kindness, and thank you for taking up the space you take up. You are needed in this world, loved, and precious, truly. So I will see you next time. Thank you so much for making it through all the way to this end of this video with all of our lighting mishaps and all that's going on. Goodbye.